So Tuesday evening, back out in the pain cave for WTRL Zwift Racing League. Round 2, stage 6. This is the Syco-list. Let's get on with it. So here we go then, this is stage 6, the final stage of round 2 of the WTRL Zwift Racing League. Knowing that this course was going to have the 3 climbs in it, I didn't expect it to go off that quickly. Got myself a nice warm up before this race and then just got myself in that race pen nice and early and prepared for the start of this race. I was expecting it to be a little bit of an easier tempo starting off with before we got out to the first climb where it would probably start to split up, but for me, it was just a case today or this evening of just holding on to those wheels until we got to that first climb. But as we move along here on the out towards the Ocean Boulevard, I started having a few connection issues and a few dropouts, which was taking out not only players and riders in the Zwift screen, but also taking out my source screen as well. So I was ending up with no data and no people around me, and it happened 3 or 4 times, as you'll see as we go through this video. But I was sat in with the group here. A few of my teammates from Level Racing Esports are around me as well. So we're just settling into the pace. Like I said, 3 minutes in, average watts around 250. Well, normally Zwift races, you find that you're in the 300 watts for the first sort of 20 minutes average. So yeah, a nice settled tempo. Just getting into it, just finding our feet, everyone's sort of just moving around. I think we've all got the same game plan this evening, that the climbs are going to be where it breaks up. My strategy for this one was to try and hold the first climb with the group or with a group, and if I could do that, then I think I'd be able to sort of fare quite well on this course. But if I don't manage it on the first climb and get broken away, it'd be a case of having to bridge myself back across or get a group to try and work and get across. But we'll see how that first climb goes. Obviously I've done the recon of this course and the video was out a week ago, so I know the course fairly well. Rode it 4 times to get it right for the recon, so I sort of know where things will happen or might happen, and it's just whether or not I've got the legs today to do that. This is the first little rise that we faced today on this course, just moving out of the tunnels, and then we'll make our way out to the first KOM of the day, which we're not doing the full height of it, which is quite nice. We're going to make a right hand turn after the suspension bridge and take the coastal road back towards the Marina. But as we move through here, people start moving around and jostling for places, so I just know what I've got to do, and that's to try and hold a group or the front group up the Epic KOM as we take the turn into it. So it starts off quite steady at sort of 8-9%. Dropping a little bit to 6s, and I'm just sort of staying with the group as best as I can, but you can see that I'm putting out over 400 watts to stay with this. My plan was if I could get through this orangey coloured section of gradient and get to that yellow bit and still be with the group, I'd be quite happy, because that yellow group or yellow segment is about 3-4% over the suspension bridge. But as you can see, coming up through there, I've started to drop off already, putting out nearly 400 watts at times over that first bit of the climb. So here I'm just trying to keep on a wheel of some sort. 2 of my teammates have just gone past me here, so I'm trying to put an effort in just to sort of stick with them, hoping that the 3 of us could work together to get back across. But even trying to hold that at 300 plus watts is not easy at the moment. Heart rate is up and actually reading accurately tonight, as I've got the new Wahoo Ticker Fit arm heart rate on, so giving that a try tonight in this race. But as you can see, sort of I am with a group, but a couple of my teammates have got away from me there, and I'm just trying to sit in now and see if I can survive this part of the Epic KOM before we make that right hand turn. It does kick again here before we exit. So just starting that final little kick off the suspension bridge here, which is 5-6% gradient. But I know that we're going to take the right hand turn just as we hit that yellow section. So just trying to get across. There's my teammate that I'm trying to get across to. I hopefully if I can get across to Ralph there, he might be able to work with me and help get across. But as you can see, as the three of us here start to work, we've got nearly 10 seconds to make up on the group in front, and obviously them being a bigger group, they're going to have more draft benefit and more people to actually take turns. A few more riders come through here as well, so I'm just conscious to stay, anyone that's sort of rolling through, just trying to stay on their wheel, try and get a bit of recovery on the descents here as well, just whatever I can get really off the pedals, some deep breaths, get some recovery in. But as you can see, we're sort of pushing through, trying to keep on the wheels of anyone that's moving through. But there's about 5 of us here, 6 of us here at the moment, and we're not really making an indent on catching those people in front. They've now got 12 seconds, 19 seconds, some of them, as that group at the front starts to break up. I know that if I can get across to that group, I could probably hold in that group. It's just that climb that's broken up this race. And I just feel like I want to get across to it. So I here just try and make a bit of an effort to see if I can get that group that I'm with to try and work with me and try and see if we can start putting some effort in to try and get back across. Because I know in a little while we're going to make a right-hand turn with a descent down to the Marina. So if we could try and close some of the gap along this top coastal road, we could have had a chance to get back across. But with that gap now at 15 seconds, it's either going to try and make an attack on the descent, which I'm still here on the pedals, 350 watts, trying to make a move for it. Somebody's come across with me, but the rest of that group that I was with have got 5 seconds behind us now, so it's just the 2 of us trying to make this bridge. And I'm trying my hardest to keep pushing, keep going, making the most of the aero tuck on these descents, back on the pedals to try and kick again, and trying my hardest to get this across. But that group ahead of us now, 17 seconds. The person that's with me I've dropped now as well, he's 2 seconds off the back of me. I'm still staying on those pedals, still trying to get this bridge to work, but nobody's with me, nobody's working with me. And for me to try and bridge that 18-second gap when they're in a big group, getting the aero benefits and working well together in a group in front, I was going to be very limited to be able to do that, especially knowing that I've got 2 KOMs still to go. So at this point, I just come off the pedals a bit and think, well, I'm not going to bridge it on my own. I'm going to sit in, let this group catch me up again, and then just sit in with it, recover a bit. Then if any of these want to make a move or try and attack later on and bridge, then I'll go with them. But just had to realise that that first KOM's taking me out of the main group, which isn't ideal. If I could have held that, then I would have stayed in the race a bit better. But being dropped and not being able to bridge it back across, sort of 20 minutes into this race now, and I'm thinking, well, just got to go for the finishing points for the team and try and finish as high as I can. So currently sat in sort of 50th place here out of 65. It's not ideal, it's not where I wanted to be in this race. But knowing that the climbs were in it, I just had to cope with what was there. So now look, dropping down to 56, but we've got a bigger group here, which thinking if we've got a bigger group, 4 of them are from the same team as well, maybe we'll start working together and we'll pick up our pace and start pulling through and working together. But just doesn't seem to happen. And you see again, I just try to move to the front, try and sort of force the issue to see if anybody works, but nobody does at this point. And I'm just thinking, right, I'll sit in for now. We'll get through the Roman villas here, and then we'll head out towards the Zwift KOM, which I know I've got to ride that quite tactically as well, because that's in 2 parts. So move through the Roman villas, just sitting in the group. The sprint's not in play, so don't make an effort for that. Get through the sprint banner to pick up my featherweight KOM. Get that featherweight power up on board, and then we'll move out towards the second KOM of the day. So as we move out through here, there's somebody gone off the front, but I'm not too worried about it. Their 3 teammates, 4 teammates have gone. So I just sort of thought I'll just close them down as we sort of hit the bottom of this climb. the Zwift KOM. We're not doing it in full, so we're not going the full height of it. We're going to turn off in that blue section, which is shown in the head-up display. And as I've got the featherweight, I knew that if I used it on this bend and really put a dig in, I could get around this really easily. Someone's gone a bit earlier there with theirs. I use my featherweight around here and start to move off. Just put the power down and just attack that final bit of this, knowing that I could get some recovery on this blue section downhill before we turn left and head out to what I class as the second part of the KOM, which will take us up over to the KOM Banner, where we're going to pick up an anvil power up. So again, managed to put 3-4 seconds into the group behind, but knowing I'm not going to catch the group in front, I'm not really going to get enough distance from that group behind. I just sit up a little bit here, let them work and come back to me. So as we go over the top of this one out towards the KOM Banner, the group comes back up behind me and I've let them get back across again, which is fine because I was hoping to have a bit of a draft boost on some of this rotation around the top of this KOM before we start making the descent back down the climb we've just come up. So sitting in now, getting some draft boost from these. Obviously with the anvil, it's going to be interesting to see where people use this. There's no point in using the anvil power up if you're not on a -2% gradient at least. So that person there has used theirs early on this 1%, which isn't going to give them the full benefit. Second one there has dropped his on the 0% gradient, which is no benefit. And I've decided that I'm just going to sit in this group, hold my power up until we get back to that statue, and then I'm going to sort of get out of the saddle, put an effort in, drop the anvil, and hopefully it'll take me down the steepest part of the KOM, which is just after that statue on the bend. That was always my plan. I think I put it in the recon video that was the suggestion to do it, because you're on a 5-6% descent. So here we go, put an effort in, drop my anvil on the 5% now, 6%, 7%, using that anvil to get the speed up and help me get down this bit. As you can see, off the pedals totally aero tuck, getting some recovery in. And again, I've managed to put a couple of seconds in that group behind. A few of them chase back across. And there's this team of 4 that have been working together that I thought might actually start working together now and start pushing as we've done the second KOM. But they didn't really sort of get going. Nobody sort of made any moves off the front, so I've just had to sit in. But yeah, it was a frustrating race because I wanted to get going. I wanted to just up the pace a little bit, but when you're into a no man's land, you're not really chasing anything down because the group ahead of us are 37 seconds ahead now. I didn't want to get dropped off by anyone that went, so I've chased this down here. As you can see, 2 riders that went off the front. I've given them a bit too much of a gap really, but I've chased them back, made the effort to get back to them, but then the rest of the group joined us as well. So I purposely rode through them and kept going, thinking they might jump on and we could get this going away, but it just doesn't happen. The group all comes back together. When there's a group, I think our group here is about 13 of us in total. People were taking it in turns on the front and sort of pulling through, but we just hadn't upped the pace really. We weren't matching, or we probably were matching what the group in front were doing, but we weren't above what they were doing. So I knew that we had a loop through the Volcano, and then we were going to head back towards Downtown Watopia before we head out to Titan's Grove. So I sort of knew what I had to do. Through the Volcano we pick up our third power up, which is going to be the draft boost, which I was going to use as we head down towards Downtown Watopia. Then in Watopia itself, or Downtown Watopia, we pick up the 4th power up, the featherweight. So nothing really changes here. Nobody really makes a move. Nobody does anything of note. I just sit in, and as you can see, the watts have come down. I'm averaging 270 watts at the moment, 35 minutes into this race. So I've got about 6 miles left to go. Just picking up the draft boost power up there. But yeah, I know that I've got something in the tank for the final climb if we need it. Getting hot and sweaty in the pain cave as well, which wasn't helping as it was quite windy this evening, so I had to have the doors shut. And the fan was trying its best to help me, but yeah, it's definitely a sweaty evening in the pain cave. And as we come down through here into the tunnels, I did think about having a bit of an effort to try and get away again, but this group, there's so many of them now, they're always just going to chase it down. So I just thought if anyone else went, I'd go with them, but nothing does. Rider down the road, you can see there, we've caught up with, he's got 4 seconds, so been dropped off the main group up front, but we're still chasing down. I didn't want to stop and let that person get on, so we just pushed through. And I knew when we turn left here, it's going to be a descent down into Downtown Watopia. So again, just pushing on a little bit, just trying to get everyone moving and just trying to up that pace a little bit, but not really working. A few people coming through using their draft boost, so I just hold it to the last minute, drop it in. So when we go through this banner down here, we pick up our 4th and final power up, a featherweight. Then it's a case of heading out, taking the turn out towards Fuego Flats, the desert flats, and then our final right hand turn will take us into Titan's Grove. But again, pace is what it is really. Nothing's really moving, nothing's really going. There's a few people obviously dropping off the front group now that haven't been able to hold that pace. There's a couple down the road that are 8 seconds away. So if we can catch them before we get to Titan's Grove, then the chances are of finishing higher is better. But sort of sat in 45th place at the moment, so and with this group I could finish probably anywhere from about 45th to about 55th, if not worse than that. So this false flats caught me out a couple of times on the team time trials that we've done this round, so just made a conscious effort to be on the pedals and just follow any move here. Bit of a false flat 2%, but it just drags out of towards the Fuego Flats. Caught that group up, look, 4 riders ahead of us, so we've caught them now. Again, just carried on through. So it looks like the best position I can finish now is going to be 40th if I can win out of this whole group that I'm with. But like I say, that group now is probably about 17 or 18 of us in this group. So finishing 40th is probably going to be a tough effort, but if I can ride the Titan's Grove roll as well, then I should be able to save myself for that final climb at the end. So it's just a case now of rolling the descents, attacking the climbs and getting through these rollers before we get to that final climb, and just not letting anybody go. If anybody makes a move, try and go with it, follow the wheels and close any gaps down. I just keep feeling that the 4 of them from the same team in the blue are probably going to make a move, or they're going to ride for one rider or do something, because there's 4 of them all together. But it doesn't seem to happen. We're sort of getting through some of these rollers here, as you can see. Heart rate's dropped down to 156. Watts have come down to 269, sorry. Average. I know that I've got something in the tank for the final climb. I just need to be mindful of how I do it, how I attack, where I use the feather up. So just sort of not really pushing the issue here. Sitting back towards the back, trying to get some draft boost, trying to get a bit of recovery in. And having done the recon of this course, I know roughly where to drop the feather up so I can have a decent effort of attacking that final climb. But it's probably going to be a tough call to finish 40th in this group, looking at the number of people here. So I've got to trust myself, got to trust my strategy. I know which bend I want to put the feather up and use it on to give myself the best chance of getting there. But again, it's going to depend who's around me, who attacks, where other people use their power up as well. So moving through now, dropped into about 47th place here. No, and we've got this descent, and then there's a few little ramps up, and then we're going to be into that final Titan's Grove reverse KOM climb, which is going to take us to the last part of the climb. So coming around here, I'm going to go left and then right and start this final climb, which kicks in just here. And as you can see, 5% gradient to start with, a little respite, and then back into 5 and a bit. Someone's gone off the front there, the group is sort of moving up nicely. I've still got 0.4 of a mile to go, so I know that I don't have to do too much work yet. Still putting out nearly 400 watts. Someone's used their feather up and started to move, so I've sort of thought I've had to close this gap down, because with their feather up, I use my feather up here, start the attack, 500-600 watts of effort, and just decided I'm going to finish this race from here and then attack that banner. Sitting in 40th, I've put 5 seconds in people behind me and finish in 40th. 274 watts average, 3.5 watts per kilo. Well, there you go. The final round of the WTRL Zwift Racing League completed. Quite happy with the way I finished with that. I think I've just set myself a 1-minute power best for the last 90 days on that last climb as well, so happy with that. If you've liked this video, please click that like button, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.